Hey everybody, John asked if I do a quick response video to his video on whether Kurt was online or whether that would be very possible in the early 90s, figuring that was about 93 or 94. Anyway, oh yeah, I just happened to be wearing a Nirvana shirt today. I kind of did that by chance. It's kind of my trusty sweatshirt. I think I have my Fallout 4 t-shirt underneath that, so there you go. Figure that out for whatever it is. Anyway, John was kind of asking about what was the online capabilities back then. I want to say I got my first home PC, like a real PC. I mean, we had earlier things like Amiga, Commodore 64, stuff like that. But I think my first PC I got was right around 93, maybe 94. And online capabilities were pretty limited. I did have a modem. I'm trying to remember what they were back then. They were like 4800 or 9600, something weird like that, 2400. Very, very, very slow by today's standards. The biggest difference is, so John was wondering whether he could have been online in chat rooms and whether someone might have conversations with Kurt before he died. Conceivably, that would be possible. Certainly, the search engines were very limited. I mean, you could do a search like you do now for, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, and just find this huge, easily accessible, array of knowledge. Definitely didn't have anything like YouTube to find videos and stuff on. So even the file sharing for music would have been really limited and really slow. It wasn't really till Napster in the late 90s that you could do a relatively fast file sharing for music. I do remember in those really early days you could get on and you could do, the most common thing was you'd go to like bulletin boards. And bulletin boards were kind of like, usually they're like in your town, so you were doing like, I think local call dialing, because I know there wasn't a way to do like, I think you would have long distance charges if you did other dialing. I can't remember exactly. But you could do local bulletin boards, and that might just be run by some guy or some lady, in her or his, house. And essentially you could get in there and you could talk with other local people in the area. And then you could share files or games or whatever. A lot of people liked to do games back then. And I know that was when you had stuff like, Quake and Doom. And I think Duke Nukem came out around that time. Those were kind of the bigger online. Some of those had online capabilities, pretty limited once again. And the other thing I would say is AOL came out shortly after that. And I think that's when the real chat experience online and emailing really kind of took off. You got mail and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's when people really started chatting quite a bit more. The only other thing I wanted to mention along with this was John had just posted a video about Paul Williams and talking about how Paul Williams was definitely a big songwriter and known mostly as a songwriter. And I think he might have even done a few songs himself, especially in the 70s. One thing he did do that if you haven't checked it out, you should, a really early Brian Depalma movie. And I know one of my movie follower friends out there, Greg, would probably be quite interested in this. If he hasn't seen it, I know De Palma's one of his favorite directors, so he'd probably like it. But anyone else who's into weird movies, really strange movies you may not have heard of, in the early 70s they made a movie called The Phantom of the Paradise. And that is Paul Williams. And if I remember correctly, the Phantom, so it's all based around like the music industry, but it's a Phantom of the Opera, kind of a version of the Phantom of the Opera in kind of the glam, glitter era of music. And if I remember correctly, the Phantom is named like Swan or something. And that's the guy you saw with the really crazy, weird mask there. And it's got all these really weird, crazy songs. Somebody I feel like gets killed by a vinyl record press. There's other weird stuff like that in there. But if you're looking for really strange, music-based, glam, glitter era movies, other than Rocky Horror Picture Show, check out Phantom of the Paradise. All right, bye guys.